Lorenzo's carried a lot of speed out of turn 9. There's no way through there.
Oh, mamma mia, mamma mia, mamma mia.
Por el interior, Jorge Lorenzo, que bien le ha ganado otra vez. Jorge, le quedan 3 curvas de derecha para ganar el Gran Premio de Cataluña.
He said to me before this weekend, if you go into these corners first, you know you're going to win the race.
Quasi impossibile.
Quasi impossibile.
Durissimo. È durissimo Lorenzo davanti e Rossi dietro. Non c'è spazio qui.
When Jorge closed me the door in the turn 9, I say, fuck, I have to try in the last corner. But I don't know if I crash. I hope if I crash, we crash together, not alone. And from that moment, I try to stay very, very, very close to him, and I know I have a small chance on the last corner.
It is strange because I thought, okay, if I can be the maximum fast, the maximum quick I can be in the last 2 corners, he can't overtake me. I just ride to go fast. So some part of me thought, okay, Valentino's gonna try. So I didn't want to close more because Valentino is gonna try the same. So maybe we could crash. And another part of me thought, Valentino is not gonna try. It's impossible to pass there.
The surprise was the important thing, because also Jorge don't expect. When we arrived to the last corner, I say I have to brake a little bit later than him, but not too much. So when he brake, I brake a bit later, like 5-6 meters later, and I try to put my bike at 180 kilometers per hour in 35 centimeters. And they say, maybe now I crash. At the maximum braking, when I go to the apex, I feel the front go away. And they say, please, don't slide more because we crash. But the front stay, the Bridgestone front tire is a great tire.
¡Qué carrera! Se quiere meter, se acerca muchísimo a Valentino. Le queda la entrada, meta, se mete por el interior.
And Rossi's invented something in the final corner.
Non ci credo, non ci posso credere.
No,
cosa
ce l'ha
ha fatto?
fatta, non ci posso credere nemmeno io, è impossibile.
Bravo! Rossi c'è!
We arrived on the finish line like this, but a little bit in front, and it was a great emotion.
Che gara! Che sorpresa!
Come ha fatto a rimanere?
Che cavolo di volete dire? Bravo!
Valentino Rossi has won the most incredible race.
I make a really good race. The only mistake I made was in the last corner. You always have something to learn every day on racing.
Eles vêm e vão. E eles vão o mais rápido que podem. Há mais de 60 anos, os motociclistas mais rápidos do mundo sonham com a mesma coisa: chegar ao topo do Campeonato Mundial de Grand Prix. A maioria deles só fica algumas temporadas, são raros os que ficam uma década ou mais, e alguns apenas algumas corridas. A maioria desiste, alguns não. Agora o campeonato é mais seguro, mas como pode ser seguro se você está correndo lado a lado a mais de 300 km por hora em uma motocicleta? Pessoas morrem fazendo isso, mas a maioria vive. Intensamente. Mais de 750 corridas desde 1949. Todas intensas e rápidas. E com quase todos destinados a falharem no seu objetivo final. Em 60 anos, apenas 24 corredores ganharam o Campeonato Mundial da classe Premier. Deles, poucos ganharam mais de um título. E bem no topo do esporte estão apenas 2 homens que ganharam o título mais de 5 vezes cada. Giacomo Agostini, que correu nas décadas de 60 e 70, levou a coroa da classe Premier 8 vezes. E Valentino Rossi, a caminho do seu 7º título em 2009. Quantas corridas a mais? Quantos campeonatos a mais ele será capaz de ganhar? Será ele o melhor de todos os tempos? Só o tempo dirá. Mas a cada ano que você força sua moto e seu corpo ao limite, você também força sua sorte. Você não pode ser o mais rápido para sempre. E quando as luzes vermelhas apagam, todos vão rápido. O passado fica para trás e só há uma pergunta: quem é o mais rápido agora? Fast Test, a história de Valentino.
I like riding motorcycle. I enjoy a lot. I go in the best circuit in the world. with the best bike in the world, try to go as fast as possible. Until I have this taste and this passion for ride motorcycle, why I have to stay at home.
Rossi ganhou 6 dos 18 Grand Prix em 2009. Lorenzo ganhou 4, mais um campeonato para o italiano. E um passo mais próximo para Lorenzo, que terminou em segundo.
Valentino has won a lot of world titles, and Valentino have done a lot of things for the motorcycle sport. So you must have a lot of respect about him. But for me, it's not a god. No? If you work really hard, if your technique is extremely good, then you can beat him.
Tão importante quanto vencer corridas é não bater nelas. Em 2009, Rossi não conseguiu terminar a prova apenas uma vez, em Indianápolis. No Grand Prix seguinte, em San Marino, a corrida em sua terra, ele zombou do seu erro tolo com um design de capacete especial e uma celebração por sua vitória para acompanhar. Lorenzo bateu em 4 corridas em 2009, o que somam mais de 100 pontos no campeonato. Você não pode se dar ao luxo de bater e nem de se machucar. Ambos são inviáveis. Para onde corredores do GP de moto vão no inverno? Para a lama, para a diversão e, como eles dizem, ficar em forma.
Training in motocross is very important. For physical and for mental is very important. And the motocross is very funny. I like a lot of motocross.
Valentino will not race motocross anymore.
I have big pressure from my father that say always, "No, you don't go with motocross, you're stupid, it's too dangerous." I think a lot of MotoGP riders have injury with motocross because we have the mind to go fast, but we don't have the technique. Motocross is very dangerous for the jumps, is more dangerous for the bumps. When we crash with MotoGP, on the asphalt you slide. Sometimes on the motocross, on the mud, you crash and you stop.
2010, o Grand Prix da França, terceira corrida da temporada. Valentino Rossi está contundido. Ele feriu o ombro em uma queda de motocross na Itália alguns dias depois de vencer a primeira corrida de MotoGP no Catar.
Valentino understands with this accident that motocross is not the right way to drive the bike.
I have a smaller crack to the bone here, but I think now the bone is okay because it's more than 1 month.
Jorge Lorenzo chegou em segundo no Catar, correndo com um dedão quebrado depois de uma queda com a moto na lama. Ele ganhou a corrida seguinte na Espanha, chegando à frente do seu compatriota e arqui-inimigo Dani Pedrosa.
Touching in the last corner and beating him in the last lap has been 100% adrenaline.
Lorenzo encenou uma celebração após a corrida em resposta à celebração de Rossi. Em Le Mans, o iniciante de MotoGP Álvaro Bautista também estava contundido após um acidente de motocross naquela semana.
When I crashed, I thought, okay, I broke. Yeah, I'm here because I think I can try to ride, no?
Bautista è stato operato una settimana fa di una frattura scomposta della clavicola sinistra e aveva anche un trauma del torace con delle fratture costali a sinistra. Ha tentato di correre e questa è una cosa, è un'impresa quasi incredibile.
Bautista é um dos 5 novatos da MotoGP em 2010. Eles podem ser novatos na MotoGP, mas não são desconhecidos uns dos outros. Eles se enfrentaram durante anos na categoria júnior da MotoGP. Bautista e o compatriota espanhol Héctor Barbera já têm um histórico com o italiano Marco Simoncelli.
I like a lot when there is a physical fight in the last lap to try to win the race. You fight with the other rider, you touch. During the race you want to kill the other rider, but after the race you give him the hand and you go to drink a beer together.
Okay, you are fighting now and you want to pass, but I think he's different because he's very ready to hit you.
Every time something happens, they come to the race direction and say, "Oh, Simoncelli touched me, you have to disqualify him." And for me, it's not the true spirit of the motorcycle race. For me, it's normal. And also, if you see Lorenzo and Pedrosa in the last race touched, but nobody say nothing.
Simoncelli sometimes is very hard. I am his friend, so with me, he's more soft. But especially with Bautista, Barbera, always hard fight.
Yeah,
but
he says they are girls.
Yes.
Os iniciantes se formaram e saíram de máquinas leves de 240 km por hora para máquinas pesadas que vão a 280 km por hora. Agora é hora de correr a 340 km por hora em máquinas da MotoGP. Não existem corredores melhores do que os que eles irão enfrentar e não existem motos mais rápidas. É agora.
The beginning of the season, it was quite difficult. In Malaysia, I crashed, I had a big crash. It was a very strange crash because entering of the corner, I lose the front of my bike. And with the leg, I pick up the bike for some meters, but after the bike retake the grip and I had a very bad high side, and after that moment I don't remember very well what's happened. I'm afraid when I crashed and I understand that I can do nothing, so in this moment I'm a little bit afraid. Not a little bit afraid.
O sexto novato do GP de moto é o americano Ben Spies. Ao contrário dos outros, ele veio do mundo das corridas de Superbike e tem muito a aprender sobre o GP de moto. As pistas de Grand Prix, corredores e máquinas são novidades para ele. Do outro lado da pista, Bautista tem uma queda ainda pior, onde o pneu traseiro desliza para o lado e depois retoma o controle e joga o corredor para cima. Enquanto isso, Simoncelli passa pela queda de lado, que é bem menos pior, onde a roda da frente desliza e o corredor cai apenas a alguns centímetros do chão.
Il pilota ha deciso di interrompere e di non correre qui a Le Mans per prepararsi bene per la prossima gara in Italia al Mugello. De Spies, una caduta molto importante, contusione del piede, distorsione della caviglia. Io penso che se tutto va bene e il cuore di Spies è quello che io ho visto oggi, credo che lui farà la gara.
Pedrosa, 2 quick laps on the mountain, a tenth of a second into Valentino Rossi, second, Stoner, who's now third. This is the last time for all De Lorenzo. Valentino Rossi with just a 500th of a second advantage on the pole position, ahead of Jorge Lorenzo. Here's Casey Stoner, 2007 world champion. He's going to be touch and go with a Casey Debs on the front row. Don't think he's going to be able to get on the front row. And can't see it. I can't see it. No way. I can't see it either. Pole, first pole of 2010, is Valentino Rossi. Didn't think he'd be able to do that at the beginning of the session, Julian. He was quite a way back. But how many times have we been fooled by Valentino Rossi? Giacomo, watch out. Just 18 races left. Thank you, Stefania, to his mum. That's got the Italian sort of thing. Thank you to the mother.
Valentino is a student of history. He knows very well. And he knows he's within range of Agostini's record.
He wants to say, I won the most Grand Prix ever. He's on 104 at the moment here in late May 2010. He's got 123 to get to beat Agostini's 122.
Valentino is now 31, and he's having to dig very deep indeed to fight off these youngsters who are immune to his mind games. Rossi is still the king. We're looking for the person who is going to depose him.
On Sunday, one of the worst parts is the nervous you feel. There is something important that is going to happen. I hate this feeling. Meditation helped me a lot because I just turn on the sunglasses and I hear my music and I just close my eyes and relax. Like Bruce Lee, no? Be water, my friend.
I always feel a personal connection with the bike because I think the bike have soul. I always make a personal feeling together. I always speak with the bike, and when the bike arrives in January, it's like with a girlfriend. MotoGP is a team sport, but when you start for the race, for the crucial moment, you are alone with your bike.
When you are on the track, you have to be flowing and you have to be enjoying the moment. Be water, my friend. You go for the finish line and you try to be the fastest. And it seems a little bit stupid. 20 riders making the same way, lap by lap. But this simple thing is very complicated.
It's very important to be the faster, but you are also to be clever, quiet, and don't feel a lot of the pressure. I think motorcycle racing are more fun because with the motorcycle is more battle sport with the other guy.
I follow the philosophy of thinking outside the race, but when you are on the bike, when you are riding, it's better not to think and to act with your instinct. If you are always thinking about your competitors, you don't put your limit higher and higher. Today, if I have to be honest, it was more easy than I expected. This is very important for me because it gives me the confidence that I can win 2 races in a row. It seems that he's always happy because he's a really good actor. He knows how to create this good feeling with the people who is looking at the TV. But every human has had moments in his life, and for sure he was not very comfortable when he been defeated 2 races in a row with me in the same bike. So for sure he gets into the Mugello Grand Prix with some pressure. Young people is coming, but how close we are from Valentino, we don't know. We will know at the end of the year.
Após 6 temporadas em classes menores da GP de moto e campeonatos mundiais de 250 cilindradas, Jorge Lorenzo subiu para a classe Premier em 2008. Sua performance foi impressionante, uma odisseia de 7 corridas que foram do céu ao inferno.
I made the pole position in the first race of my life in MotoGP. I finished second on the race. I repeat with the pole position in the second race. I finished third, and I won the third race, also the pole position. For me, it was so easy, and I was beating all the riders in my first year. I didn't understand why it's so easy. In the China Grand Prix, I didn't get a good pace suddenly, no? So I feel that I must push. It was a terrific crash. I broke 2 ankles. The day after I finished 4th in the practice. The day after I finished 4th also in the race. I crashed during the practice on Le Mans, the next race after China. I crashed, but I didn't feel this risk. I finished second. But when I crash in Montmeló, I get conscious like a boxer, no? When I don't remember anything. Then I release what I was doing, no? I release that if I continue like that, maybe I can die. So then it comes the fear. Some riders after big crashes, they get this fear of the bike and they never go fast again, and they must retire. Some other, maybe I am of this other, take this disadvantage and make this an advantage.
Va estar ingressat aquí amb un traumatisme cranial quasi una setmana, Havia agafat una mica de por, Por tothom en té una mica. L'home la porta dintre, El que passa que la superem.
Lorenzo teve outra grande queda no Grand Prix dos Estados Unidos. Ele voltou para ficar no pódio 2 vezes na segunda metade da temporada e terminou o ano na 4ª posição no GP de moto velocidade.
Qui è più importante il motociclismo del calcio, qui le moto sono in number 1. Allora speravamo che venisse fuori un campione, un pilota bravo, no? Però è venuto fuori troppo bravo.
Miracolo Valentino con la sua moto che vola verso le stelle.
Era un bambino piccolino, quanto è venuto. Veniva a prendere le figurine, i personaggi giapponesi. Ha sempre avuto questa cosa lui. I giapponesi gli piacevano molto.
It's not normal children. Because free here he go with the bike, with Graziano, but is no normal.
Prima anch'io avrei fatto altre cose, fatto però là incanalato, mi piace da piccolo, da 4 anni.
I don't push him. You understand it happened without saying.
Era la disperazione della guardia.
Quanto corre lui ci emozioniamo tutte. Quanto corre lui cambia tutto, no?
Mi piace vedere le corse. No, avevo una lambretta in motocicletta.
For the 46, from my father. The first race he win, he had 46. In 79, the year I born. So I don't change because all the people know me for the 46. And easy. If you switch on the television and see, 46 Rossi.
Il mio numero di telefono è 90 12 46.
Valentino è ancora e sempre sarà una persona umile, una persona del paese di Taulia, come noi. Solo che è un po' più... L'abbiamo fatto stampare a Milano. Valentino, abbiamo detto, Valentino, questo tu lo devi... Quanti metri è? 25 metri. Lui ha detto, ma è tanto lungo. E noi abbiamo detto, vinci di meno vittorie e più corto. Il momento particolare è stato un primo podio quando ancora era piccolo.
He's putting away victory at last for Valentino Rossi. Oh, and he almost swipes the wall in his delight.
Era come qualche cosa che capivi che era un pilota.
Is fantastic for me. I try to push very hard, I push very hard. It is very funny and I win. I win the championship with the victory. Grazie a tutti. I push very hard and we make a very hard fight. I push and I push is very good. I'm the second rider in the history to arrive in 100 with Giacomo Agostini. I'm so happy, but I hope to have some other season for increase the number and for fight with the other guys. Thanks a lot to everybody.
Le sue gare di Valentino sono state tutte belle, specialmente Well con quanto ha battuto Biaggi, quanto il primo anno che ha preso la moto della Yamaha. Yamaha che Biaggi diceva che non valeva niente.
Em 2003, o arqui-inimigo de Rossi, Max Biaggi, trocou a Yamaha pela Honda, alegando que a Yamaha não era boa e que ele precisava de uma Honda como a de Rossi para vencer. Rossi era invencível com a Honda, ganhando 3 campeonatos mundiais consecutivos. Em 2003, ele e os outros pilotos da Honda venceram 15 das 16 corridas. Loris Capirossi ganhou a 16ª numa Ducati. Dava para entender Biaggi.
Honda was the most competitive bike, was the team where everybody wanted to be. And we as Yamaha, especially during 2003, we had a very difficult time.
I started to manage the MotoGP in 2003. But our bike, our organization, everything was very bad.
As a factory team, we didn't achieve one single podium. So we've never been in the top 3 in any race. So it's very tough here. Even more tough is try to convince Valentino to join that manufacturer.
I'm here to say thank you very much to Honda, and to say also, unfortunately, next year we don't race together. A fantastic period for me. 3 World Championship. Maybe make this choice at this point is a little bit crazy.
I thought it was a joke, but he had some trouble with the previous manufacturer.
Rossi estava vencendo campeonatos mundiais e ganhando 10 milhões de dólares na Honda, mas se sentia um prisioneiro. O prisioneiro de uma empresa que considerava a moto mais importante que o piloto. O prisioneiro de obrigações de relações públicas e exigências corporativas.
Lui correva con la Honda, sapeva che poteva comunque sempre vincere, però ha detto, io vinco ma non mi diverto. Preferisco divertirmi e poi rivincere. È importante, Non tutti lasciano una cosa sicura per prendere la Yamaha che non era sicura.
A Yamaha ofereceu a Rossi o que ele queria, liberdade. Tudo o que ele precisava fazer era aparecer e correr, com o adicional incentivo de que todos sabiam que a Yamaha tinha o desempenho inferior.
Everybody was saying that he was winning just because he had the best bike. Easy to win with that bike. And he didn't like that, so he wanted to challenge that.
Valentino wanted to show the reason of winning is himself, not the bike. So he came to me and talked about that story. So I really hungry to get the win. So that was a good time to talk each other to make a good bike.
Com Masao Furusawa, Rossi tinha o gênio da engenharia que ele precisava para redesenhar a Yamaha. Agora, ele só precisava do gênio da mecânica para aperfeiçoar a moto para cada corrida. O seu chefe de equipe na Honda, Jeremy Burgess, o único homem no GP de moto velocidade com mais títulos mundiais do que Rossi.
You're always trying to give him the best bike for the job. The motorcycle is a tool to assist an individual to do what he loves to do. My job is essentially to sharpen the tool so he can do it.
O australiano preparou motos para Wayne Gardner e Mick Doohan, levando 6 títulos mundiais com eles e mais 3 com Rossi, mas sempre com a Honda.
All my team say at the beginning, you are fucking crazy to go with Yamaha, we remain with Honda, it's a lot more easy.
You only meet one Valentino Rossi in your life. We could be racing lawnmowers, you know. I do it because I love to win, and he's the guy we can win with.
A Honda segurou Rossi com o contrato até o final. Assim, ele não poderia testar a Yamaha até que o ano acabasse, colocando sua nova equipe em desvantagem no começo de 2004.
And nobody expected us to do any good the first year, particularly the first race. Realistically, you think nobody could win on that bike.
Biaggi just holds firm. Rossi very, very close indeed. Biaggi runs it wide and in. Rossi will be through. But there's no way through at the moment for the Yamaha rider. It tightens up. Rossi goes through. There was an inch, and Rossi's done it. And there's nothing Biaggi can do about it. They wait for the left-hander. Rossi just a little bit out of shape, but somehow he hangs on to the Yamaha.
I mean, Valentino put in an extra effort to win that race.
Rossi is going to do it. Valentino Rossi wins the African Grand Prix from Max Biaggi.
There was a lot of emotion in that first weekend for him to win on that bike. Trust me, it wasn't a given.
A vitória firmou a lenda Rossi. Ninguém havia feito isso antes. Ganhar a última corrida do ano por uma equipe e a primeira do ano seguinte em outra. Também foi o fim de Biaggi como ameaça. Ele venceu apenas mais um Grand Prix e foi deixado sem uma corrida de MotoGP na final de 2005.
I have the 2004 bike of Welcome, the real one, in my bathroom. Bedroom, sorry. It's not the bathroom. It's in the bedroom. No, it's not in the toilet. It's in the bedroom. Every morning when I wake up, I see my bike and I have some socks sometimes on the bike, but anyways, it's a great memory.
He's a charmer, you know, he's a star material, whatever sport he'd be in. But apart from that, he's a ruthless killer. I always feel people need reminding of that. He really is a savage competitor, not in the way of being dangerous, but of being very dedicated to winning at almost any cost.
Sergio Gimonolis, look at the crowd. 127,000 Spaniards go absolutely crazy. Into the right-hander. Rossi's got the inside. Rossi's back in front. He runs it wide. Now who has the best position for the right-hander? It's Gimono. Rossi surely going to try and get up the inside of Gimono. Gimono holds the pole position. They break for the left-hander. Rossi on the inside.
Oh, the touch. Oh, Rossi, Gimono's running wide. Oh, Rossi's punting him off the track. Rossi's going to take victory in the Spanish Grand Prix. Gimono's in the gravel. Can he get back on the track in time to take second?
Do they get any better than that?
That was a strong move. Yeah. That was a Simoncelli move.
We've just seen it again, Nick, the replay here, and I don't know, Rossi is very, very deep in the brake. As you say, his foot came off. You can see the contact here better than anywhere else. But
it was the last corner, you know. You have to try.
Oh, the shout! Oh, the Spanish crowd here. The whole stand in front of me are singing "Fuera," which means out. They want Rossi banned from this race. It's thumbs down all the way in front of me here. They're whistling and booing Valentino Rossi.
What a start to this season.
If you're a racer, that's actually all that matters. It's winning, isn't it? What he's here to do is win. Look at the way he destroyed Max Biaggi. He destroyed Sergio Gimono.
This is motorcycle, and it's very good that you have hard fight, like in my case with Biaggi, with Gibernau, and especially at the end with the Stoner in Laguna Seca.
Rossi e Gibernau vêm se desentendendo há um tempo. Em 2004, Rossi jurou que o espanhol nunca mais venceria uma corrida. E Gibernau não venceu. Ele deixou o esporte de vez em 2009. Com Casey Stoner a história é diferente. Ele ganhou de Rossi de forma limpa em 2007, vencendo no total 10 corridas, e Rossi 4. Aquele foi o primeiro ano da nova Fórmula MotoGP de 800 cilindradas, o primeiro ano de Stoner na Ducati e apenas o seu segundo ano na MotoGP. O australiano na moto italiana surpreendeu a todos, incluindo eu.
You could tell there's no way we thought we were going to win the World Championship, but we went out there and we won the first race, we won the third race, we won the fourth race.
It has been an epic battle at the front. Stoner tries it in the right-hander through turn 3. A long radius right-hander and Stoner's through.
Till now, I think the Stoner of 2 years ago has been the fastest Valentino meet, because it was so difficult to understand why Stoner was so fast.
Stoner leads the way. Rossi going to try to get back to the front. Rossi back in front, but he runs it running wide. I think so. Stoner goes back in front.
I think it wasn't until maybe race 8 or 9 that we were starting, okay, we've actually got a shot at the championship here.
Casey Stoner wins the Grand Prix of Catalunya. What a race!
Além de tudo isso, vencendo o campeonato mundial na Ducati, foi a primeira vez em mais de 30 anos que um fabricante europeu venceu um japonês na classe Premier.
Stoner have a great talent and sometimes is impressive how fast he is. In 3 laps, he make the lap record, as you say. Impressive, but if you work step by step, it's possible to fight with him.
9 corridas na temporada de 2008. Rossi estava liderando o campeonato, mas Stoner estava vencendo todas e se aproximando rápido. Em Laguna Seca, onde ele triunfou em 2007 e onde Rossi nunca havia ganhado, o australiano foi o mais rápido no treino e começou a corrida na pole position. Ele parecia invencível.
In Laguna, at that point, Casey had won 3 races in succession, and we had to stop that run, and it looked like he was going to win another one, and this is what Casey thought. Clearly, that was the thing that we had to attack, was Casey's belief that it was a foregone conclusion he would win the race.
Casey starts for that race sure to win, because he had more than half a second for lap advantage. But when he discovered that he have to battle with me so hard, you don't expect, you know? So this was important.
A lot of things weren't shown during that race on camera that happened over the back part of the circuit.
Rossi sabia que não tinha velocidade para acompanhar Stoner, então ele teria que fazer a ultrapassagem logo no início e contra-atacar se Stoner ficasse para trás. E se Stoner ficasse para trás, seria o fim dele.
Stoner was unbelievable in Laguna, and I know that I have to stay in front.
No seu desespero para tomar a dianteira, Rossi avançou caindo 30 metros na parte do cascalho conhecida como o saca-rolhas.
And the corkscrew incident was nothing. That was Valentino making a huge mistake, running wide, going off the track, holding it wide open and getting lucky that he didn't fling himself into the barriers and into me.
From the bike was quite scary. During the practice, I did the same mistake. And I know that you don't have deep sand, but it's just some dirt. So when I arrive over there in the racetrack, I say, maybe it's okay because I already tried one time in the practice, but I don't want to try. Just make mistake, you know?
There's been some moments when Valentino rides really hard and aggressive, but he's as clean as a whistle, you know, he doesn't do anything wrong. And then there's other moments where he seems to leave his brain somewhere else, and or just plant it in the side of someone, and, you know, I just don't think it's correct. It's not a contact sport.
But Stoner complained with me, but I never touched Stoner. So, you know, what's happened in Laguna was a great battle. And unfortunately, when you lose this great battle, in Italiano si dice ti tira il culo. It means you are very angry. Stoner complained, but in general, he don't know why he complained, because I never touched it.
Yeah, there's the saying what goes around comes around, so, you know, we'll see what happens. If people keep getting away with what they are these days, then, you know, it's going to get quite extreme, something's going to go wrong.
O desafio de Stoner em 2008 foi sentido após Laguna. Ele bateu e saiu das próximas 2 corridas quando estava ganhando de Rossi.
I think Stoner, the thing you have to question is mental strength.
Rossi acabou ganhando o campeonato, se tornando apenas o segundo piloto na história a reconquistar a coroa após perdê-la por 2 anos consecutivos. O outro único homem a fazer isso, Giacomo Agostini. Enquanto isso, a sorte de Stoner mudou. Após vencer 10 corridas em 2007, ele venceu 6 em 2008. E depois em 2009, apenas 4. Na Catalunha, em 2009, o dia em que Rossi passou Lorenzo na última curva. É claro que havia algo de errado.
You saw him in the paddock and went, my God, you actually should be in hospital. You looked that pale, that drawn, and it was getting to him. He couldn't talk to anybody, one autograph hunter would freak him out.
Então Stoner fez o que pilotos durões não devem fazer. No meio da temporada, ele arrumou as coisas e foi para casa.
It was better for me to pull out and try and fix the problem. And then it took us a long time to figure it out.
The reaction of the other riders to that was very interesting. Absolutely flabbergasted that you should stop in the middle. You just don't do that. How do you have the mindset that allows you to do that? Casey came back very strong, but the question mark is always got to be there.
The Casey we got back, completely different person.
Stoner foi finalmente diagnosticado com intolerância à lactose.
With the lactose intolerance, I was getting that tired and that worn out on the bike after 5 laps that, I was struggling to go in under braking points.
I wasn't able to get out of the way of someone if I was caught in the middle of a few riders, and it might have been a tricky situation. I'm 100% now.
He's puzzling, you know. I'd say he's very much always the championship contender. But then he does these puzzling things, like go off for 3 months or ride like a hot-headed Moto2 maniac, you know.
Ele deixou muita gente sem entender nada quando retornou e venceu o Grand Prix da Austrália em casa e a corrida seguinte na Malásia, antes de bater e ter que sair da última corrida de 2009 na volta de aquecimento. Ele bateu e saiu da primeira corrida de 2010 enquanto estava na liderança, e ele bateu em Le Mans.
I want to try and win, and people criticise me for that, but racing isn't always about the championships. It's a bonus at the end of the season. I'm out there to win races, get the best result I possibly can in each race. Of course, sometimes mistakes come.
Ao contrário de Stoner e Lorenzo, Valentino Rossi nunca deixou de estar presente em um Grand Prix.
He's done every single race since March 1996. That was 15 years ago, and he's not yet missed a race.
Very close sometimes. Valencia 2007, I had injury, but always try to resist. This is like a legend that I never have failed, but I broke a lot of things, like the other riders. Hands, fingers, ankles. One of the worst of my career, and a big pain. And I remember the feeling of pain everywhere in the body. Because I did the change of direction before the last chicane, and is 6th gear, is 265 kilometers per hour. And when I changed direction and I hold the bike on the left of the tires start and make a very bad eyesight. And I have the time when I fly to say, oh, mamma mia, what's happened now is a big crash. And when I go down and after I start to tumble, it's like 30 people kick you, you know, all together. And break the hand was a very bad crash and very stupid mistake for myself because I need to wait more.
I traumi gravi sono diminuiti negli ultimi 10 anni moltissimo, negli ultimi 20 anni ancora. Le lesioni sono delle estremità, quindi dello scheletro, delle ossa della mano, delle ossa del piede e poi della clavicola in particolare, per quello che riguarda il distretto della spalla.
Rossi correu 2 dias depois com os ossos da mão e do pulso quebrados e terminou em 8º. 2006 foi o ano em que as coisas começaram a dar errado para ele. Depois de 5 títulos consecutivos no GP de moto velocidade, Valentino Rossi era claramente o favorito para vencer o campeonato. Então Tony Elias tira ele da primeira corrida e problemas pneumáticos e mecânicos fazem com que ele saia de outros 3 Grand Prix.
Valentino Rossi, 7.5 laps to go, is out of the French Grand Prix.
No meio da temporada, quando ele caiu e quebrou a mão durante o treino no Grand Prix da Holanda, ele estava atrás do americano Nick Hayden por 43 pontos. Rossi lutou na segunda metade da temporada e acabou apenas 18 pontos atrás do americano, chegando na penúltima corrida em Portugal. Ele saiu daquela corrida com vantagem de 8 pontos após o companheiro de equipe de Hayden, Dani Pedrosa, tirá-lo da corrida.
I thought it was over, man. I thought it was 25 years of hard work out the window, and my dream of being world champion was done. I've never felt pain like that in my life.
It came in a bad moment, especially for him, but it was racing. It never happened before to me, and it never happened again. But it came right finally, so.
We were in the motorhome after I crashed, and we were watching the race, and I was like, oh my God, Tony's about to nip him at the line here. And that just gave me a feeling that, you know what, this ain't over. That's 5 points. That adds a whole new dimension. I mean, I never pulled for a guy so hard in my life.
A virada final vem em Valência, onde Rossi fez o que ninguém esperava. Ele caiu.
The worst moment of my career, except when you crash and you have pain. I was very fast, and I did the pole position, but at the same time I had an impressive race pace with the race tires. Pam, 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 very fast. The bike was okay. Sunday, nothing worked. I don't have the same grip from the tires.
Rossi looked like he bumped it a bit off the line. He's back in the field there a bit.
And when I start for the race, the bike was impossible to ride.
Hayden up the inside of Caparossi.
Hayden now up into 3rd place, and there is Valentino Rossi. Just get a glimpse of that yellow helmet. It's not where he wants to be.
For me, something strange happened with the tires. The tires were not the same of Saturday, I think. But you never know.
Valentino Rossi is going to have to produce the ride of his life if he is going to win the 2006. Oh, Rossi's still down!
Rossi's down!
Rossi's down!
The reality is I lose the championship and Nicky win.
Hayden terminou em 3º e venceu o campeonato mundial, provando que qualquer coisa pode acontecer, mesmo após ser tirado da prova pelo companheiro de equipe e de estar 8 pontos atrás de Valentino Rossi na última corrida. Rossi perdeu o campeonato por 5 pontos, a diferença entre o primeiro e o segundo em Portugal, onde Tony Elias ganhou dele. Tony Elias, o homem que o tirou da pista em Jerez no início da temporada.
Tony, my boy Tony, did me his biggest favor ever. I mean, I always have a soft spot in my heart for that guy.
quão perigoso é o GP de moto velocidade? Em que ponto ele é perigoso? As quedas de Rossi são duas respostas. Um problema mecânico. A queda em Valência foi devida a uma falha elétrica. E a causa mais comum, o erro humano. Na Holanda, Rossi não esperou o suficiente para que o pneu traseiro chegasse à temperatura ideal, então faltou controle. Eles podem parecer super-heróis em seus uniformes modernos, mas os pilotos são humanos, de carne e osso.
Motorsport is supposed to be dangerous, but not too dangerous. It's a bit of a tightrope, really. And you'd have to say that the improvement in safety over the last 20 years of motorbike racing has been absolutely fantastic.
Quando os pilotos batem nos dias de hoje, lesões sérias são menos comuns do que costumavam ser devido às melhorias na segurança da pista, com grandes áreas para a saída da moto, e o equipamento de proteção que os pilotos usam, que agora incluem airbags que se ativam na batida e proteção embaixo do couro. Nos últimos anos, os pilotos bateram 20 ou 30 vezes numa temporada sem lesões graves.
Carlos held the record for the most crashes in one season, like 28 crashes or something.
Exactly, I don't know, but it was around 30. I stopped counting, you know.
Cauen molt al principi, o sigui, quan corren en motos petites, cauen molt freqüentment, després s'estabilitzen e quan ja són més grans, potser tornen a caure més.
No entanto, os campeões caem muito pouco. Mesmo há 30 anos, quando as pistas não eram nada seguras e havia mais fatalidades, os melhores corredores raramente morriam na pista. Todos os campeões da classe Premier da década de 60 até os dias atuais sobreviveram em suas carreiras de piloto. Cometer poucos erros é uma das características que definem um campeão. Em 2 dos anos em que ele venceu o campeonato, Rossi terminou cada uma das corridas, e nas outras, ele nunca caiu mais que 2 vezes.
To be a successful racer, you have to have a strong sense of self-preservation and an overweening confidence in your own ability.
Eles são humanos, mas um raro tipo de humanos. Algo como pilotos lutadores com uma coordenação extraordinária, com as cabeças tranquilas durante uma briga, uma combinação de grande disciplina para treinar e testar, e a disposição para arriscar em tudo se o momento assim exigir. Mas não importa o quão bom você é, e não importa as melhorias nas pistas e equipamentos. Coisas ruins ainda podem acontecer.
Els accidents sols, normalment, es poden trencar una mà, però lesions molt greus no hi ha. Normalment són quan van en grup, un de davant cau i els altres l'atropellen. Aquest és el perill més important.
Catalunha 2006 volta 1, se encaminhando para a curva a mais de 240 km por hora. Sete Gibernau pega na traseira da Ducati de Loris Capirossi.
I was right behind Sete when it happened. He started braking, and he was braking on the white line that separated the track from the pit lane entrance. And I think that kind of spooked him a little bit. He tried to get off the white line. As he tried to do that, he just ventured over into was it Capirossi, hit his front brake, and then it was assholes and elbows after that. Once all the carnage started, I just remember seeing Melandri stuck up the back of somebody's rear wheel, basically trying to rip his arm off. And I came in. I'm pretty sure I was a little bit, a couple shades whiter than what I am right now, because I thought I'd just watch Melandri get completely offed. It was fun, you know. But it was a pretty gnarly crash, for sure.
Em Assen, em 2008, John Hopkins bateu na mesma curva que Rossi 2 anos antes. Mas desta vez foi um erro da máquina. Ela o tirou da pista em um ângulo inesperado, direto para a parede.
It was such an odd place where I'd crashed because it was a bike mechanical failure, and one of the forks actually didn't compress when I went in to brake, so that the front just slid and I went off in 5th gear wide open, and the data said that at top speed right when I crashed was doing 168 mile an hour. So I hit the wall at over 100 mile an hour. I was like falling from an airplane and just hitting the concrete. Thank God I hit it with my feet first. I blew out my knee and busted my ankle and stuff, but had I been head first, I would have broke my neck and would have been dead for sure. Yeah, it definitely frightened me, man. That scared me a lot.
John Hopkins teve sorte. Daijiro Kato, que morreu em um terrível acidente no Grand Prix do Japão em 2003, não teve sorte. Shoya Tomizawa, uma estrela em ascensão na nova categoria da Moto 2, também não teve. Em setembro de 2010, 5 meses após vencer o seu primeiro Grand Prix no Catar, ele perdeu a vida em um acidente na corrida de San Marino ao ser atingido por 2 motos, caindo na frente delas.
It's that kind of reality that you don't want to see, because you don't think it will happen to you. It's something, it's there, you know it's there, but better not to look.
Mugello pertence a Valentino Rossi. Ele venceu 9 Grand Prix em todas as classes aqui, incluindo 7 consecutivas na classe Premier. É um lugar especial para ele, e ele sempre leva algo especial para usar.
Mugello is the classic special helmet of the year. Many times he was able to do the best with the special helmets. The face was the most famous special helmet of Valentino. To be honest, a few days before, we had no idea about what can be the next special helmet. I asked him to talk about Mugello. We was talking about Casanova Cerelli, there's going down to the hill. And then he showed me when you go down, the face you have on the... Yeah, they make a special face, and they say, do it one more time. He do it, I take a picture, and they said, okay, that is the new helmet for Mugello. We are working with a lot of riders, and for everyone, I think, to have the right color or the right cartoon or something that they have in the heart. Maybe one image, maybe one special sign makes the rider more comfortable. The story of humanity is full of these kind of things. The soldiers, the cavaliers in the past, the Indians in America, they take colors with the hands and put it on the face to be strong, to be more aggressive, or maybe to take away the fear. So the colors, they can help a man to be more strong.
It's like when Superman put the suit, no? So when I put my yellow leather suit, it's not just protection, but also psychologically effect.
A motocicleta de MotoGP é uma máquina com um humano de um lado e um pequeno pedaço de borracha do outro. No meio está um equipamento que gera uma enorme quantidade de poder. O trabalho do piloto e sua equipe é descobrir como passar para o chão a maior quantidade de poder possível a cada volta. As motos são protótipos que custam dezenas de milhões de dólares e são criadas exclusivamente para as corridas. Os números são os seguintes: 220 cavalos de potência, 160 quilos, o mínimo de equipamento para o máximo de performance. Muito mais poder por quilo do que um carro de Fórmula 1 e também mais velocidade. Mais de 330 km por hora em pistas como Mugello, onde os carros de Fórmula 1 chegam no máximo a 320.
The bigger difference is that in the car racing, they are able to understand all the things from the computer because the driver is the stop on the car. In the bike, it's a lot more difficult to understand what's happened because a small movement of the rider changes all the balance of the bike. For this reason, it's more important the experience and the indication of the rider.
Em italiano, a palavra usada para piloto de moto é centauro, o animal mitológico metade homem, metade cavalo. Mas não é um mito. Uma moto de GP é como um membro prostético para viciados em velocidade. O trabalho do engenheiro é fazer com que a moto seja uma extensão do corpo do piloto, indo para cada direção com ele, dando a resposta necessária para ir mais rápido.
When I was a small kid, I really wanted to be an airplane engineer. But after World War II, we are kind of forbidden to make an airplane from the United States. Most of the good engineers went to automotives or motorcycles. That's why the motorcycle engineering is very good in Japan, because a motorcycle is next to airplane, much more similar dynamics. So it looks like a simple vehicle, but actually it's pretty much complicated in the 3D moving, so more than the four-wheeled cars.
A motorcycle at this level is basically flying on the ground. So a motorcycle comes along, pitches into a corner, and gets to 60 degrees. There's two gravities going down through the tyre. That's exactly the same as any aircraft, which goes into a corner, and there's two gravities trying to pull the wings off.
The physics of doing 140 mile an hour with your knee on the ground, everything's trying to suck itself into the ground.
This weight should make the bike follow into the corner. But because of the speed, another force centrifuga, that makes this two forces in equilibrium. That's why the bike can lean and don't follow into the corner.
When you run around a corner, the force wants to throw you to the outside, so you counteract it by leaning to the inside. Same with a motorcycle. Everyone who's ridden a bicycle has that experience. It's not that far away, really. They just go a hell of a lot faster.
Quando está de lado, a moto inteira deve se flexionar para absorver as colisões, porque a suspensão não pode se mover para cima e para baixo quando está na horizontal.
The chassis has to be flexible. It's a controlled flex. To quote one of the Honda Japanese, it bends like a tree. It bends and returns to its position.
Nos domingos, eles são gladiadores, mas nas sextas e sábados, durante o treino de qualificação, os pilotos e suas equipes são como cientistas pesquisando. Seu estudo, flexionar as leis da física o máximo possível.
Every track has its own attitude of what the bike needs to be set up. Tarmac surface, camber, off cambers, maybe some uphills, downhills, tighter corners, slower corners, faster corners.
If you can get a bike that works 85-90%, that's good. It's never going to be perfect because you have so many different types of corners on the track. You're going to go through a corner and be like, okay, it's awesome through there. You get to a hairpin and you're like, it's a wreck.
You got to keep it, at least try to keep the traction just a little bit longer till we can start driving, because I can't roll the thing.
So right here it's still skatey when you're going through the throttle, and then it transfers and then it grips.
Yeah.
All I try and do is make him as comfortable as he can be on the bike. Once he's comfortable, then he can go do his job.
It's doing everything okay, but it always feels like there's a little something here you could make better. You could make this better, get a little more feel out of that, a little more traction here. And there could always be something a little bit better. The MotoGP bike is so finicky. It sounds stupid that, 1 mil here or 1 mil there, which is nothing. But you go out and you come in here, I can't ride it. It's crazy.
I don't like.
Todo piloto quer o mesmo, a habilidade de sentir a pista através da moto, de sentir exatamente o que está acontecendo onde os pneus tocam o asfalto. Com isso vem confiança. Com a confiança vem a velocidade.
You ask anybody, do you want more front end feel or you want more horsepower? And everybody's always going to say more front end feel. And once you get it comfortable front end, you start carrying a little more speed, a little more entry speed, and then your lap times start dropping.
What matters here is that the tyre contact patch is so small, and you've got to put 220 horsepower through that. So it's a game of not overstressing those tyres, of taking them to the limit of their ability to grip, but never too far. And it's that little bit, that last little bit, that all these teams are searching for to make them work.
Suspension is working, but tire is not working, so we need to push on tire and try to get tire working.
Antes de correr, os aquecedores de pneu fazem eles chegarem até 80 graus Celsius. Já na pista, os pilotos têm que se esforçar para conseguir ainda mais calor, e a aderência vem com isso.
It's regular to get over 100 degrees Celsius. You can't touch them when they come in, put it that way. It's like touching a metal kettle in your kitchen. And that's where that amazing grip comes from. By the time you get them up to that temperature, it becomes so sticky, it's almost like glue.
As motos podem ser ajustadas de infinitas maneiras. Os laptops dizem tudo. Elas podem queimar combustível fóssil, mas são efetivamente máquinas digitais. Sua performance é pré-programável.
There's so much technology nowadays with anti-wheelie, anti-spin, anti-rectum control. I mean, they got all kinds of shit on this thing that you're constantly trying to tweak this, play with that.
This line is the gearbox. You see second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth. You see the throttle opening is the blue line. Then we have a lot of sensors checking the engine performance, like lambda sensor, temperature. The total number, including the mathematical channel, is around 200, but normally we check 20. The KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid.
Okay, so we go with the first bike.
And the second bike we never.
Working with him is amazing. If you work with him, you can realize how amazing he is.
Sometimes Valentino can make a race with the same lap time from beginning to the end. I can take the lap number 4 and I overlay lap number 25. You can't see any difference in speed between the lap number 4 and the lap number 25.
Rossi, he has that edge. He can feel very well this line. He's going on that edge for all the race, so he's good at that.
Mantequilla is a new word of this year of my team. When you ride very smooth on the turns, when you ride like mantequilla, like you are putting the button on the bread with the knife, very smooth, very precise. This is the mantequilla style.
My dad, he was a mechanic. He was in the garage with the hammer. So I was thinking, when I became a real rider, I want to be the same constant as the hammer, with the same force and in the same time. Hammer, every lap the same. This is more or less the two best skills I have. The smooth style and the hammer constant pace. The other riders are more unconstant, apart from Valentino, who is more or less the same constant as me.
It's one of the best points of Jorge, that he's not a big technician, but he knows exactly what he needs to be fast. He say, okay, if you fix the braking, I will be 3 times faster. It's always, if we are able to do, he is 3 times faster.
Lorenzo, this year, he's made everything look so easy. He looks like he could take a hand off and put it behind his back and do the same thing.
Sometimes I can feel a little bit of frustration from Valentino. He's developing the machine, and in the meantime, he's preparing the tool for his best rival to try to beat him.
We had the bike, we've worked very hard on for 7 years to make as good as it is. Jorge has come along and inherited a lot of that work and has done a great job with it.
It's not my bike because Vale has been doing the evolution, so he has making the bike for his style. But I adapt my style to the bike. Every time I beat Valentino, some part of the press say, why Ramon and you make better setting than Vale and Borges? And I say, maybe it's not a question of the setting, no?
Ha imparato molto da Valentino, ha imparato troppo da Valentino. Ha messo a posto la moto Valentino, lui si è trovato con una moto già pronta.
O que incomoda os fãs de Rossi não é apenas o fato de que Lorenzo está vencendo as corridas, mas que ele está copiando o estilo de Rossi. Rossi tem o sol e a lua no seu capacete e uniforme. Lorenzo tem uma auréola e chifres de demônio. Uma perna do uniforme de Rossi é amarela, uma perna do de Lorenzo é vermelha.
Anzi, è un copione. A noi non ci piace tanto, noi di Tavuglia.
How much of that is getting up Rossi's nose? Maybe the imitation is part of Lorenzo's way of winding Rossi out.
Valentino, 9 wins here for Mugello, 7 in the MotoGP classes. You think of Mugello, you think of Valentino Rossi, but it will be tough on Sunday for many reasons, but Jorge in particular.
Unfortunately, I have the bad idea to crash with a motocross bike to have an injury that give me some problem. But, championship is long, we need to fight.
Sapevo, ho visto Valentino molto nervoso in quel periodo.
It was a difficult moment of the season because of my shoulder injury. I need a victory in Mugello.
He had a lot of pain to the shoulder. And coming to Mugello, he said, I'm like a gambler. I want to play the joker.
We think at the joker because it's like when you play card and you have the joker. At one moment you have to play. And you have to play when it's important.
He'd come out on a new tyre, he'd done one out lap. Then he was on his second lap, and that's when he slowed down. He hadn't done a complete flying lap, so the tyre temperature was already the bottom end of its working range.
I slowed down because I had Barbara following me. I slowed him down for 6 or 7 seconds, and when I restart to push, the tyre on the left was cold, and it was a big high side, very fast.
That was just in front of me, so in the practice, I mean, I seen it out of the corner of my eye. It was ugly because that's a really fast place.
It was a bad feeling because I lose the practice, I make a mistake. But after when I touch the ground, I have pain, I say, maybe the problem is bigger.
Era una violenta impatto del piede sull'asfalto che ha portato alla rottura dell'osso e quando l'osso si è rotto ha ferito la pelle ed è uscita all'esterno.
When I understand that I broke the leg, I was quite desperate. The pain was hard.
A cold tire crash is usually the worst because you just have no idea. It's like you walked through the front door and somebody had a baseball bat and just smacked you in the face without you knowing about it.
Ho ridotto la frattura in modo che l'osso ritornasse nella sua sede abituale, il corpo, perché l'osso non sta molto bene quando è fuori all'aria. Insieme al dottor Macchiagodano e ai medici del Mugello abbiamo organizzato in maniera di andare in sala operatoria in meno di 3 ore, escludendo complicazioni vascolari.
The day after, me and Davide, we went to the hospital and checked Valentino's condition. We stayed there a couple of hours. I was quite worried about it.
Valentino will not depart bike racing second in anything. Valentino Rossi does not leave this paddock on a stretcher. However many points he was behind his teammate, of all people, doesn't happen. Won't happen. Even if he just comes back and wins one race to prove a point. That'll do him.
Why did Rossi crash? It was an unforced error. Yeah, it was pressure, maybe, probably. Not used to being pushed. And that's going to get worse and worse.
Una persona normale ci mette 4, 5, 6 mesi e quando tutto va bene.
Yes, 5 months is for play football. The surgery was perfect. The doctor Ursi make a great job and put a long pin in the tibia.
The guy who was clever on a Sunday morning at Mugello was Pedrosa because he woke up and he went, I can win this. I can step into the shoes of the man who has dominated so many years here at Mugello.
He will win the Italian Grand Prix. In the absence of Valentino Rossi, it's not Lorenzo, but it's Dani Pedrosa who wins at Mugello. What a ride. Where did that come from?
Lorenzo might not have woken up so quickly, and he's now coming to the next race here at Silverstone going, right, I've got to be on it, and I've got to be on it now.
1 week after the crash, you don't think of nothing. You don't think of the race and the bike. You just have pain, you don't sleep, you say fuck every time.
It's going to be Lorenzo who's going to win. He comes through Woodcut corner. Lorenzo wins the British Grand Prix. So Jorge Lorenzo safely negotiates the chicane here at Assen and wins his 4th Grand Prix of the season. Jorge Lorenzo takes his 3rd victory in succession in MotoGP. Danny Pedrosa takes 2nd and Casey Stoner.
I had a strange effect. I don't have any emotion to see the race at the television. It's like something very far from me. I don't expect this. I think when I see the race, I say, oh, but I was very quiet. Just think of the best way to recover in a short time for be back.
Si sta curando iperbarica, fisioterapia, macchine per migliorare la qualità della consolidazione della frattura.
When you cannot ride the bike, you are very quiet at home on the sofa. But when you say maybe it's possible, you can stay at home. You have to try.
And it was like a child. When you give a present, a gift to a child at Christmas time, it's the same. I mean, his face changed immediately. Valentino, even after 104 wins, after 9 titles, he really can't wait to ride a motorcycle.
37 dias depois da queda, Rossi testa a Superbike da Yamaha em Brno, no dia após as corridas de Superbike lá. Uma Superbike é uma máquina altamente modificada, um degrau abaixo do protótipo da MotoGP, mas é uma máquina que vai a mais de 300 km por hora.
He lapped with the same pace as the previous day's winners. But if you ask him, he say, well, do you think I wasn't able to do? I mean, that's his answer.
And now he's a lot better already than in Misano. 5 days after, we work a lot in the gym and in the swimming pool for improve the power and the mobility. I have pain for sure. I have some problem after 6-7 laps, so it will be difficult to make longer the race distance for sure.
When I saw him crash at Mugello, I seriously thought, well, that's the end of it. Any man who's achieved as much as is richer than you could imagine, and is now under threat from younger rivals, lying there looking at his shin bone sticking out of his leg. Not a pretty sight. I really thought that we'd probably seen the last of him. And then he made me look like an absolute idiot by coming back within 5 weeks. He's actually nuts about racing. He's mad about racing. There's no other way of describing it.
The doctor, they were all surprised. His bone condition after just 40 days was like a normal person in a double time.
To the shoulders, it was very painful. 5 or 6 hours every day. Swimming pool and gym. A lot of people help me very much. Every day is a small victory.
È stato il suo cuore, la sua passione, la sua voglia di uscire dalla monotonia di tutti i giorni per tornare all'attrazione fatale di questo mondo meraviglioso che è il motociclismo.
This is the kind of thing that can turn on you as you get older. It's very hard to stop racing. You look at the great names from the recent past, very few of them have retired because they thought, you know, I'm getting a bit old now and it's a bit silly and I've done everything, there's nothing more to prove. Very, very few. Agostini's one very rare example.
Valentino mi aveva fatto riconciliare con le moto perché Rossi nel 1982 ha avuto un grandissimo incidente e quindi con Valentino piano piano mi sono riconciliata ed è stato un grande amore le moto. Adesso che Valentino si è fatto male sono un po' preoccupata.
Rainey, Swans, Doohan, and so on, they stopped because they got hurt. They were nuts about racing. It's a fine kind of madness, quite potentially self-destructive kind of madness too. Well, his dad was a famous nutcase who was mad about racing and got stopped by getting hurt. Let's hope it doesn't run in the family.
Stopped for a big, terrible crash. I crashed in Imola in 1982. 260 kilometers per hour. Was not a good experience. Dr. Costa say that I probably die. And then this was not true. And I have been very, very lucky.
Era morto. Graziano Rossi morì su quella curva. Ma in quella curva che era pericolosa io avevo messo un bravo medico, il quale in pochi secondi lo raggiunse e lo rianimò. In questo mondo il pilota sorride prima di incontrare quello che è l'incidente fatale o il dramma. E quella è la cosa bella, perché la vita ha un valore solo quando esalta la morte.
That throng of journalists is all outside the Fiat Yamaha garage. Number 46, and amazingly, 6 weeks later, he's even able to walk, let alone ride, a 240 horsepower motorcycle.
Valentino wasted no time at all to put 3 fastest splits in.
Valentino Rossi top of the pile by 0.57 of a second. Situation completely normal.
I wondered about the psychology here, whether Rossi can pressure him somehow by coming back this soon, or whether Lorenzo is just going to manage to just shut him out.
Remember in 2006 when Valentino Rossi was aboard the yellow Camel Yamaha and he had disaster with engines in Le Mans and he had an engine blow up at Laguna. But by the time we got to the end of the year in Valencia, he was leading the championship by 8 points ahead of Nicky Hayden.
Lorenzo está na frente de Rossi por 104 pontos, mais que 4 vitórias. Mas este é um esporte que vê mudanças de sorte repentinas e brutais. Quem sabe? Talvez Lorenzo tenha o mesmo tipo de sorte que Rossi teve em 2006. Talvez Rossi ainda tenha a chance de conseguir o título.
It's something very, very difficult, but it's something that everybody in the back of his mind is thinking.
I feel this bike very well. I know the limits, of course I can crash, but I know the limits very well.
No final das contas, Rossi está de volta porque pode, então vai estar de volta. É para isso que ele vive, é para isso que todos eles vivem.
One of the big sensation driving a bike fast, I think second only to other things.
Sex and riding, the best experience. When you feel the bike and you are confident with it, is a fantastic sensation.
It's some kind of love, strange love, you know. You know, nothing's even come close to it. My whole life's pretty much just evolved around motorcycles.
I love my bike. I love the feeling of being in a bike, trying to improve your riding style.
Racing these machines against these people, that's what I love.
You zip up the leathers, put the helmet on, walking out to your bike, you feel complete.
As soon as that shield goes down, there's nothing. That's it. It's just done. You snap the shield shut, let's go as fast as we possibly can. Been racing motorcycles for 32 years, since I was 4. It's been a very long love affair.
I started to ride the bike when I am 40 old. Now this is the 21st season. Always when I am home more than 1 week, I want to go back, I want to ride the bike.
From the time I was 3 years old, been racing motorcycles. I didn't ever want to be an astronaut or firefighter or football or nothing else. I wanted to be world champion.
When I was 4, I was sitting on Santa Claus's lap and said, I want a motorcycle. And then his reaction was, oh, well, you can't do this. And I totally just walked off and didn't even listen to what he had to say because he didn't have a motorcycle for me. And I got a motorcycle when I was 5 and started racing street bikes when I was 8.
I was 3 years old. The first time I get into a bike, I realized that it was my sport. My dad was convinced I could be a world champion since the beginning, since I was 3 years old. He was talking about that with the people, and the people thought that he was mad, completely mad.
Costuma ser o pai que apoia a ambição do filho, mas sempre há uma exceção.
My mom was the one that had the $80,000 credit card bills, working 3 jobs, doing that kind of stuff.
We knew when he was 3 years old. When he was 12, I knew he was going to be a champion. Told so many people.
Até agora, este ano, Mary Spies viu seu filho cair 2 vezes na França, se aposentar na Espanha e terminar em 7º na Itália.
Ben said it's going to be a different ball game and just hang in there and we'll take it step by step.
Ele caiu de novo no treino na Grã-Bretanha, mas depois, correndo com um osso do pé quebrado, ele mostrou a todos quem ele é.
Inside line as they go down towards Abbey. Ben Spies now on the outside. Can he find some way through at Farm Curve? There you see, Ben Spies is going to go through. Ixioto second, Ben Spies in third place.
Got it, he got third. That's his life and he can do whatever he wants and I will support him.
Outro piloto a todo vapor nesta temporada é o francês Randy Depunier, que se qualificou na primeira fila nas últimas 3 corridas, atrás apenas de Lorenzo e Stoner. Assim como Spies, Depunier está numa equipe satélite, correndo com a 2ª melhor moto. Apenas as melhores equipes possuem os equipamentos mais avançados, algo injusto na MotoGP. As voltas qualificatórias super rápidas do Depunier são um tributo à sua valentia e talvez também à sua namorada australiana, ótima para elevar o testosterona, Lauren Vickers. Mas é muito difícil manter um altíssimo nível de comprometimento durante toda a carreira.
I don't like to see that so much, the crashes, but when he's on a high, it's really amazing to be able to watch him.
I feel okay because it's my riding style and it was the only chance to be fast. Sure, my bike was a little bit difficult to control, but it was no problem because I have a good physical condition and I was ready for that.
Another good lap by Rossi. Will it lift him out of 5th place? It does, up to 4th. He's getting nearer and nearer that front row start. Fire out to the side of Jorge Lorenzo's bike. Oh! Left-hand side of the bike. Oil spitting out of the bike. The oil spurting out of his bike all the way down towards turn 1. Pressure, speed's gone down. There's someone else there as well. Yeah. Is that Randy Depunier? Yeah, it's Depunier down with it. Red flag out. Oil on the track, and Depunier looks hurt.
Jorge Lorenzo is confirmed as being on pole position. The Spaniard just nipping ahead of Casey Stoner, and Dani Pedrosa rounding out the first row. Row 2, Dovizioso backing up Pedrosa's speed. Valentino Rossi who returns. Row 3, headed by Randy Depunier. Let's hope he's okay for tomorrow's Grand Prix after the crash.
Jorge Lorenzo in pole. Casey Stoner, he goes to Honda next season. Behind them, look out for the return of the Doctor, Valentino Rossi.
Valentino Rossi hasn't ruled out challenging for this championship.
Round 8, the MotoGP World Championship here at the Sachsenring is underway.
A corrida é programada para 30 voltas do circuito de 2,2 milhas. Sachsenring é incomum porque ela tem 10 curvas para a esquerda e apenas 3 para a direita. O desenho ajuda Rossi. Suas lesões são na perna direita e ombro direito, e a pista faz com que o piloto coloque o peso mais para o lado esquerdo. Após 9 voltas, Lorenzo lidera na frente de Pedrosa, Stoner e Dovizioso. Rossi está na 5ª colocação quando a queda acontece. Depunier cai primeiro, e a Ducati de Mika Kallio o atinge. Bautista e Espargaro atingem a moto do Depunier. As lesões do Depunier, tíbia e fíbula quebradas, assim como Rossi em Mugello. A corrida recomeça. Pedrosa pega a dianteira na frente de Lorenzo na volta 10 e segue para conseguir a vitória por 3 segundos. A verdadeira batalha está atrás deles. Casey Stoner e Valentino Rossi brigam pelo último lugar no pódio.
And it will all be down to the final lap for the battle for the podium position. Rossi will be desperate for it. Stoner desperate to hang on to it. Look how wide Stoner has gone. He's going to try and get the drive going down to 14. Stoner's going to come into the final corner and attack. Stoner goes through in turn 14. Across the line, it's Stoner.
You know, I'm sure from Casey's perspective, there was extra effort put in to not get beaten by a guy with a broken leg. Overall, I think being a left-hand track may not be too difficult on the leg. You obviously don't get any rest at all at Laguna.
I suffer quite a lot in turn 4 and turn 5 for change direction from right to left and also braking for the turn 5.
It's a hard sport physically. You are getting tired on the race, you are moving your body and have a lot of force to move this bike.
And also to go down at the corkscrew, I have some pain. So in that change of direction, I was not strong enough.
Durante a corrida, Pedrosa lidera na frente de Lorenzo de novo, mas desta vez ele cede sob pressão.
Oh, crasher! Dani Pedrosa! Dani Pedrosa has crashed out, leading all the way in this race so far.
Rossi está na briga na última volta com Andrea Dovizioso. Desta vez ele vence. Ele está de volta ao pódio. Mas seu companheiro de equipe é quem está no topo.
He has a serenity, very mature, measured, careful races he's had all this year, with or without Rossi there.
He did a great job, so great congratulations to him. He's in front every practice and in every condition, so he's in a great shape. I think he deserves the championship without my injury, my crash. You cannot say nothing to one rider that the worst result is second. So.
Em 2009, Valentino Rossi disse que ele esperava ficar na Yamaha até o final da sua carreira. Em Laguna Seca é anunciado que ele vai correr pela Ducati em 2011.
1 year ago, I think that I finished my career with Yamaha, but after inside of Yamaha, changed a lot of things.
Yamaha have had somebody who is not just as fast as him, but frequently faster than him. And more distressingly for Rossi, a great deal younger.
I think we've got to wait till 2016 before we can make a determination on that, because that's when you have had the opportunity to win as many MotoGP championships as Valentino has.
Na corrida seguinte na República Tcheca, Rossi estava a caminho da primeira fila quando cai na última curva da sua volta mais rápida. Ele sai ileso. Ele termina a corrida em quinto. Lorenzo vence. 2 semanas depois, em um grande calor em Indianápolis, Rossi cai novamente durante o treino. E de novo. E de novo.
When he came back, we thought that maybe in a 2 or 3 race he would have been 100%. Now we realize that it's not like that. In a normal condition, you fully dominate your bike, like you are in control. Probably now he's not in control. He has a lack of power.
Após uma decepcionante 6ª colocação em Laguna Seca, Ben Spies ressurge ao correr novamente em seu país de origem. Ele se qualifica para a pole e fica em segundo na corrida.
It was a perfect weekend for me. We didn't win the race, but in a rookie season satellite bike, you can't ask for a whole lot more.
Dani Pedrosa vence. Lorenzo é o terceiro. Rossi em quarto.
You can't bet against Valentino. You know, Valentino is Valentino, but there's always a changing of the guard.
Valentino could invest himself. The young sharks smell blood, and they did. And that aura of invincibility of Valentino's has been broken. Now, can he repair that?
Rossi usa um capacete especial para a corrida em sua terra, Misano, dizendo a si mesmo para acordar.
I feel better with my leg, but unfortunately this racetrack is very demanding for the shoulder because it has 3 hard braking on the right.
Tutte le strutture della spalla, capsule legamentose, muscolari, l'articolazione, le cartilagini erano state danneggiate.
Yeah, I think there's a particular angle that's fine and another angle that's very weak.
Nelle staccate, in fondo ai rettilini, quando c'è la staccata violenta,
the maximum G-force you can have is 2.5 G.
Sua equipe está correndo para fazer com que sua moto fique mais fácil para ele pilotar.
At the end of the day, if you can make the bike easier to ride, why wouldn't you make it easier to ride for a fit person? It's impossible. It's impossible to make the bike easier to ride.
If he had lots of strength, we could make the bike good for braking, which is a strength of his. But when he became tired or weak with his shoulder, then we had to slowly move the setting away from braking and more to sort of help it turn.
You try to make a bike easier to stop in braking, but you know, when you have a good bike in braking, then you have a bike that doesn't turn well. You create some benefit, but you create a lot of negative also.
This problem has been the story of all this year.
Valentino Rossi heads the second row of the grid. He is the reigning MotoGP World Champion, and the time is coming up to 2 o'clock. It's time, Valentino, to wake up. And for those Valentino Rossi fan club members, it's time for Valentino Rossi to win another Grand Prix. The last time that Valentino Rossi won a Grand Prix was April the 11th. It's now September the 5th. What is going on?
Na frente de seus fãs, Rossi faz o melhor que pode, brigando com Casey Stoner e Andrea Dovizioso pelo terceiro lugar, atrás de Jorge Lorenzo. O vencedor da corrida é Dani Pedrosa, que agora é o único homem com a chance de brigar com Lorenzo pelo título.
Valentino è come un maestro d'orchestra che riesce a coordinare il tempo del suono, del movimento della moto, ed è sempre molto bello da vedere in moto, tranne in questo periodo che ha la spalla che gli dà fastidio e non riesce a essere più fluido.
Em Aragon, no 13º Grand Prix da temporada, Casey Stoner vence pela primeira vez no ano. E pela primeira vez no ano, Jorge Lorenzo não chega ao pódio. Ele termina em quarto, atrás de Nicky Hayden. Dani Pedrosa em segundo, diminuindo a distância de Lorenzo para 56 pontos, faltando 5 corridas. 125 pontos que podem ser conseguidos. Em Aragon, Valentino Rossi ficou em sexto.
My throttle kept open when I was going to brake.
So I was braking, trying to brake, but with the throttle of my bike was full open and I crashed.
We had a technical problem on the bike and he couldn't control it and he crashed so bad because I think he didn't expect in that moment anything and he fell really hard on his left shoulder and he broke the collarbone.
It seems to have been an assembly fault, a mechanic's error, and it cost him everything.
In the last 5 years, he's always been runner-up or second or third. Finally, to be the champion, everything has to be there for you that time. And it hasn't been there for him. We can only keep trying and looking for it and believing in it the way we do, you know? Because if you don't believe, it's no meaning to do nothing.
My dream is to become one day MotoGP World Champion, at least one title in MotoGP, and that would make me very happy. If not, maybe it's because I wasn't good enough, but I know I'm putting everything here to make it happen.
No momento em que Dani Pedrosa caiu, era o fim do Campeonato Mundial de MotoGP para ele. Sua clavícula não estava apenas quebrada, várias partes dela estavam estraçalhadas. Ele voltou para a Espanha para ser operado. Oficialmente, Jorge Lorenzo precisa de mais 19 pontos para que Dani Pedrosa não consiga mais o título. Mas Pedrosa não está bem o suficiente para vencer nenhuma outra corrida este ano. Lorenzo pode ganhar o título mundial se ele terminar em primeiro ou segundo no Japão. Ele terá que passar seu companheiro de equipe para que isso seja possível.
That was very brave, wasn't it, from Lorenzo? Around the outside of Valentino Rossi. And Lorenzo tried to find the inside of Valentino Rossi. He's got it. Can Rossi retake him? He's going to love doing that. Back through at turn 5.
We still have to see Lorenzo under pressure. With the injury of Vale, by the half of season, he had quite a big gap in the championship.
Here comes Lorenzo. He almost does take Rossi's leg off. Now, can Rossi react again? Going down towards turn 5. They're side by side in the tunnel, and Rossi returns the favour. Can Lorenzo stick it around the outside of him? In towards the S-curve, he's going to try it on the inside now. Very hard stuff. They touch going around there. Rossi on the inside and they touch.
Valentino still has this aura about him if it comes down to a last lap fight, that he is not beaten and will not be beaten.
Now can he go around the outside another time? He loves that manoeuvre. Here he comes once more in towards the S-curve, and this time he will go in front once more. Rossi reacts at the left hand. He's going to try the ultimate. It's the block pass, isn't it, from Valentino Rossi?
Valentino beat him up from totally fairly, good close racing, but it was no mercy to a teammate who's getting close to a world championship.
Rossi has held him off for the final podium position, but delight for Ducati and Stoner. He wins the Japanese Grand Prix. Brilliant performance. Second place Andrea Dovizioso. In third place it's Valentino Rossi.
Jorge Lorenzo precisa esperar mais uma semana para botar as mãos na coroa de Rossi.
It's where he should be. He's in pole position. His 6th pole of the season. 8 Grand Prix wins before the start of the most important race of his life. Grand Prix of Malaysia. Lorenzo leads the way.
I remember when I was 16, I was so ingenious about everything. I didn't get any result. And you know, this wall of the motorcycle for me was so big and I was so small. So I have a lot of pressure to make good races. I crashed many times, making some mistakes. But you know, fortunately you get better.
Jorge Lorenzo will be proud. The 2010 World Champion.
Ele termina a corrida em terceiro. Ele foi bem. "20 anos após ele ter andado de motocicleta pela primeira vez, assim como seu pai previu, Jorge Lorenzo é o campeão mundial de MotoGP. Aquele dia na Malásia, na mesma hora, no mesmo lugar, houve outra corrida. Entre 2004 e 2010, Valentino Rossi venceu 45 corridas pela Yamaha.
When I arrive at 45, I say, I have to do 46.
It's Lorenzo around the outside. Look out for Casey Stoner on the inside, and Ben Spies as well. Stoner up into third, but where is Valentino Rossi? He's way back. He's right down the orders. Absolute disaster for Valentino Rossi. He's not in the top 10. He seems to have lost Casey Stoner. Where's he gone? In that final corner, Stoner's gone down. Stoner out of the race. He's won the last 2 races. He's not going to win this one. There is Valentino Rossi. Up into 8th position now, ahead of Lawrence Capirossi. There's Rossi. Comes from a long way back. Try and play through on the inside of Colin Edwards. He really means business this afternoon. He wants the battle, doesn't he? And there's the man who will be taking his seats at the Fiat Yamaha team next year, Ben Spies. No way for Spies to fight back. On board now with Valentino Rossi, who's the fastest rider on the circuit at the moment.
Ha voluto fortemente la 46ª vittoria con la Yamaha. Lo stava male, però lui ha dominato.
Well, he's up into 4th now, past Nicky Hayden. Marco Simoncelli having a great race. He's still on Hayden as well. Valentino Rossi soaking right up now on Marco Simoncelli. Rossi comes so late, taking 3rd place. Into turn 1, Andrea Dovizioso takes over the lead in the race and runs Lorenzo slightly wide. Rossi is just at a 2:02.1, almost half a second quicker. Rossi on the inside. How much distance between those 2 bikes as Rossi comes through? Lorenzo runs in a little bit wide at turn 1. Here comes Rossi down into turn 9. Dovizioso ran it very wide there. Here comes Dovizioso down into turn 1, and Dovizioso takes over at the front once more, and Rossi fights back. Here comes Rossi up the inside, he's done it again, he's back in front.
It's something incredible that after 7 seasons I do exactly 46 victories with Yamaha. It's something maybe right in the destiny, you know?
Valentino Rossi wins the Malaysian Grand Prix. Through all the broken leg, the shoulder injuries, Rossi is back.
Was great. Also, if I prefer to win 47, 48 or 49, but not less than 46.
Valentino Rossi termina a temporada com 3 pódios e em 3º lugar no campeonato. Ele diz adeus à Yamaha em uma carta à sua querida moto. Rossi herda a volátil Ducati de Stoner para 2011. Ele tem que fazer uma cirurgia no ombro após um primeiro teste em que ele foi o 15º mais rápido.
I had a bad problem with the shoulder, so I don't understand the bike very well. Now I make the surgery.
It's a question of getting the fitness back into Valentino. The development and the setting for him will come more quickly then.
Valentino ha tante cose da dire ancora con le moto.
Now it's like I'm 10 years more young, no? Because it's a new adventure starting from the beginning.